can't get Shane into moneymakers. Just chill, man. I'm not rolling it out right now, but it will be soon. We'll have that for you in a not-too-distant future. We'll have that Tuesday Top 10 for you, our initial SEC Top 10, and the 4 swirlies that are not in there yet. Tom Luginbill from ESPN was on the Oklahoma-Tulane game, which was surprisingly good. And he has Pitt at Tennessee this week, which is a very important game for both teams, but especially for Tennessee as a measuring stick, because this is a legit team. This is a pretty decent team. I didn't even check the line yet on that thing. I think Tennessee might be a 1-point favorite or something is what I saw. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I just made that up. Anyway, Luke's is coming up in a few minutes with his thoughts on that and, of course, everything that went on in an outstanding weekend of college football. The stars of the weekend were the fans. The fans jumping around in Wisconsin, or the fans waving to the hospital in Iowa, or the fans everywhere just doing what fans do, to chop at Doak Campbell Stadium, wherever the fans were, the fans. Not a lot of fans last night, though, at that Ole Miss Louisville game. Maybe we only need one of those, kickoff classics in Atlanta. Yeah, you bring a couple of big names in there, you're going to fill the joint up. You bring a couple of, middle of the conference type teams. Well, Ole Miss is higher in their conference. Louisville may be at the bottom of their conference. ACC. Oh, my God, what a disaster for the ACC this week. Oh, they were awful. Their top teams were getting beat. Their middle-of-the-pack teams were getting beat by FCS teams. What a disaster for the ACC. The only team that had a decent outing for the ACC was Virginia Tech, and they were beating another ACC team that was overrated in UNC. At the top of the 11, Clint Lamb of On3Sports.com is back off that remarkable performance by Bryce Young and the Crimson Tide, just eviscerating Miami and Atlanta. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to learn. Maybe it's the old coach's respect for an opponent in me, but I didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming. And my number one takeaway, I saw them winning the game. Remember I said like 38-20 and wouldn't cover? It was just a beatdown. My number one takeaway was the incredible poise of Young. The ability to hang in there, create, take hits, deliver accurate balls all night long. It's just tremendous. The kid was amazing. And the defense was relentless. The only negative being the loss of Christopher Allen, most likely for the season, out with a broken foot. That sucks. Now, on the Auburn side of things, look, I know it was Akron. Right there with Bowling Green is maybe the worst team in the country. I get it. 1 in 23 in their last 24 games. I get it. They won 5 games in 3 years. I understand. It was Akron. But we saw Washington and Washington State and Duke and Vandy and others flat out lose. Lose. Not play poorly, lose to inferior teams. And Auburn took care of business in a surgical way. And if you told me that Bo Nix could go 20 for 22 for 275 and 3 TDs against air, I wouldn't believe it. And it's fascinating to read some of the things being said about how this team was coached as opposed to in the past under Gus Malzahn, who only took a team to a national championship. Remember, he's always giving credit for Gene Chiswick's national championship when he was the offensive coordinator. Remember, he was the shock and all offensive genius, quarterback whisperer, Gus Malzahn. Now he's a freaking idiot, apparently. When you listen to the way people are talking about Brian Harsin and how this team was prepared. And Gus did beat Alabama 3 times and once the 5th highest paid coach in the country, but now he's a bumbling idiot, apparently. And Brian Harsin, give him a contract extension. Now, I'll share some of the things that were said. I thought it was fascinating. Because it's Overreaction Monday. So since it is in the spirit of Overreaction Monday, let me say this. Ole Miss, they're a thing this year. Matt Corral is a flat-out stud. And let me say this, too. I dropped the Baker Mayfield comp on him in the first quarter. It's on Twitter. Go check. In the fourth quarter of that game, Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit were going on and on about how much he was like Baker Mayfield. I don't know if they're reading my Twitter or not. I don't think they're followers. I'm not sure. I think Herbie might be following. I don't know. But, God, he reminds me a lot of Baker Mayfield. Best quarterback in the SEC right now. Is he the best quarterback in the country right this second? I mean, could be. Could be. Overreaction Monday. That's what we do. Now, in Beat the Big Dog, next year, Shane Sean will call in. He'll say how he beat me 3 years in a row in Beat the Big Dog. Grizz, if I live the next year, you need to make sure you get this written down, okay, so that we know. All right? Shane Sean did not beat me this year. I was 4-2 against the spread. He was 3-3. The swing game being the Georgia-Clemson game. I gave you Georgia as an outright winner. So I'm going to hang on to my $25 Bad Daddy's Burger Bar certificate for another week. We'll see if somebody can take me down next week and win that thing. By the way, it was 5-0 giving you winners. I gave you UCLA as a winner. Gave you Georgia as a winner. Those were dogs that won. Alabama did not cover. Notre Dame did not cover. Notre Dame, don't get me started. Pissing away an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter. And Brian Kelly's still an idiot. Don't get too bent out of shape about his comment about executing his team. He just screwed up an old coach's line from the 70s. It's an old line from the 70s. He screwed up the delivery because he's an idiot. In the Friday trifecta, Wolverine Dan and Mr. Brown hit the trifecta and the tiebreaker, resulting in a drawing for the weekly prize, which Dan won. So Dan gets the Champies and a pair of tickets to the Bama Mercer game. I do not see him using them. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Dan is not going with Washington playing at Michigan this week. I'm going to say that Dan is not going to the Alabama Mercer game. I did offer those to Mr. Brown. He can't go either. They both get 2 points on the big board. Dan gets the chow. The Mad Plumber picked up a point for hitting the first 3 games. Most of you were tripped up by LSU. Most of the losers, when I looked at the losing tickets, most of you got tripped up on LSU. It was LSU. And I try to tell you people. You don't want to listen to me. Over there in that little glass booth, playing the Platters of Matter and the Stacks of Wax, manning the phones, and thank goodness for him not going to Auburn on Saturday. It's Coach Grizz.
Do you know who I am?
Who in the blue hell are you?
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and pollen.
I'm telling you, there's an embarrassing press conference in that kid's future.
You don't ever say that to me. Bullcrap.
There won't be any misinformation. There won't be any false statements. There won't be any hearsay.
How come there ain't no Puerto Ricans on Star Trek?
You ask me those kind of questions, it really pisses me off.
Tom, can you get me off the hook? We're on time safe.
You ask a question every week that I don't know anything about.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
You do what everybody else in media does, just create some and throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
I ain't gonna be buried. I want a taxidermist to stuff me. Say hello to my new
Grizz, you were watching like every minute of the U.S.-Canada game in Nashville where 43,000 people packed the 68,000-seat stadium for that, probably.
No, I didn't. I was watching football all weekend.
I actually
I didn't even watch
soccer,
I didn't watch any of it.
I bounced into it a couple of times. on Saturday. During commercial breaks and things like that. I had it in the it was about 8th, 7th, 6th maybe on the rotation.
Yeah.
I would bounce into that game.
I think I had it on for like a second, and then I turned it away, and then just got distracted. I think I did turn it on for like maybe a second.
No, I know why I had it on. It was Sunday, and it was only the one game. It was just the Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
It was not Saturday. It was Sunday night.
Right, because it was the 5th.
Right.
Yeah.
It was on Sunday night, so that's why I had it in. I was bouncing into it.
I remember seeing it, and I just got distracted.
I had of course the Notre Dame Florida State game, which was an outstanding game, but a lot of drama, great crowd. I had a Notre Dame Florida State game. I had the race, the Southern 500 was my second thing, and the third thing was the soccer game. So there was a couple of times I bounced into the soccer game. The race was not super competitive. Denny Hamlin won the thing, and but that was. Did you see the comments by his? Did you hear what happened? Denny Hamlin split up from his longtime girlfriend.
I saw
they had, 2 children together.
Yeah, I saw the comments on Twitter, I believe it was. Like, I had seen him initially, and then Smokey Mike sent him in our little, Discord group or whatever, Facebook group, and I had no idea what he was talking about at first when he said it to me in person.
What's
and
a
I was
Discord group? What does that mean?
It's basically like a chat room. It's just like it's just like any other app. It's an app that you can go to, and you can there can be hundreds of people, or there can be 10 people in this chat, and it's just a big forum for people to go to and have a lot of the same likes and dislikes. And you send them an invite, and you can join the Discord. And so right now I'm in a few of them, and there might be 500 people in it, or there might be 75 people in it. I mean, it's just a group.
Well, his girlfriend is Jordan Fish, and they have been together for years. I mean, 8 or 9 years or something. They have 2 children together. They got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old child together. And I don't know why they had never gotten married, but they have been around together for a long time. And she tweeted, right, over the weekend. She tweeted, "I've been quiet for far too long, and I have endured things no person should ever have to endure, and today was no exception." At Denny Hamlin, I hope everyone will finally see you for the person you truly are.
All right.
Myself and my children deserve better than what you have given. I cannot believe I ever thought that someone like you could change, because you cannot. You have a long road ahead of you, and I graciously no longer will be a part of it. Have a great life at Denny Hamlin. Wow. Damn. Woman scorned right there, baby.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm not a big fan of, whatever it is, but I'm just not a big fan of domestic violence. Been around it.
What do you mean domestic violence?
You
just went domestic violence on
it.
I'm just saying, that's a leap right there.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know what it could be.
Don't know.
That's if she's really heartfelt and trying to expose him for something that he's been doing to this family. It kind of sounds like that, and I'm not trying to say it is.
It doesn't sound good.
But being around it, I'm not a big fan of it. So if it does come out to be something like this, I mean, it's just like how I feel about, Azuna and anyone else that does it and is a professional athlete. I feel like you should be, if not, you shouldn't be allowed to come back to the sport. But if not, you should be suspended for the whole year to really understand what you did and maybe try to come back a better man.
I mean,
if you're not in jail, of course. If you're not in jail, of course.
Let's be clear now.
Right.
Nobody is saying.
Nobody says it is. Right.
Nobody's saying that that's what this is here with that Denny Hamlin. It could be just he's a
drunk, or maybe
a
he's
Richard.
just,
there you go. It could be he's just a Richard. You know what I mean? It could be he's just that kind of a guy. It could be just verbal stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
He could just be a bad dude.
Right.
We don't want to say nothing has come out that said anything. I don't want to disparage and say Denny Hamlin beat his girlfriend, because we don't know that.
Of course.
We don't know that that's a put up. Maybe he's a player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe
he
he's a
cheats,
player. We don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a cheater. I mean, that would be a bad thing too. We don't know. A woman scorned is a woman scorned. We don't know. But, man, that was pretty ugly, what she had to say.
Yeah, it wasn't official until she goes on TikTok, though, because that's apparently where
TikTok is
everybody goes to complain about their spouse in some sort of way.
TikTok makes it.
That's all TikTok is about, is to complain about your spouse.
Speaking of spouses, my second oldest son got engaged over the weekend.
I saw the pictures. I liked it. I liked the picture.
Yeah, it
I
went
saw
right
it.
to.
Congratulations.
Right down at Big Spring Park is where they had their first date, and that's where he took her to get engaged. And what he did was he took a loaf of bread, and he put the ring box in the middle. My wife actually cut out a slot in 3 or 4 pieces of bread in the middle of the loaf, and they put the ring in there, in the thing, and then they went there to feed the thing, which you're not supposed to do, at Big Spring Park.
Right.
You're not supposed to feed the ducks that way. And so they took her down there, and then when she got to that point in the bag of bread, she found the ring. Now, I told him, I said, what if she throws that ring, and this was a hell of a ring, what if she throws that ring in the water? You know what I mean? What if she doesn't see the ring and just grabs like a fistful of no. She'll fill the box and all this stuff. So anyway, congratulations to Tommy.
Yeah, you're not supposed to give them bread. You're supposed to use the little thing.
You're supposed to buy the
food.
stuff that they give you there.
You should have put the ring in the food thing, and then when she turns it, she opens it, boom, and the ring comes out. But then somebody might get into it right before and take the ring and sell it.
Yeah. So anyway, congratulations to him. That's a good job by him. So
that's awesome. Congratulations.
It is cool.
At least someone's getting married.
Yeah. There you go. All right, let me get Wolverine Dan in here. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, congratulations to your son. I'm surprised he didn't put it in like an Italian sandwich or maybe a meatball sub.
Yeah, well, the meatball sub would be good because he is kind of a meatball, but I don't know that she'd eat a meatball sub. That's the only thing.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, if she ate a sub that she got into it, that you realize there's something in there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She might have broke the tooth or anything. I got a bunch of things to touch on. First off, you didn't talk much about that Notre Dame. How about the story about the quarterback that blew out his knee? They said he would never, ever play sports again. And
they didn't even know if he'd walk again. And think about it. He doesn't get in that game if Jordan Travis doesn't have his helmet knocked off, and has to go out for a play. Mackenzie Milton doesn't even get in the game. And let me tell you, Mackenzie Milton's a little guy. He's only 5'11", 200 pounds at most. And he got in there, and certainly it was a mystical moment. It would have been better. I mean, it would have been straight out Bobby Bowden reaching down from heaven and giving them the win if he had led them back for the victory. But, Notre Dame's got its own echoes, so they ended up, saving the day after the game got tied 38-38. But, yeah, it was a good football game.
All right, before my major take, and it's about my team, being that I guess I won the trifecta.
Yeah, you guess you won it. You guess you won it.
How do I go about getting whatever I'm supposed to get?
We are going to send you the Champy certificate. I'm not sure what the story. What are you going to do with these tickets? Somebody's already offering you money for these tickets. Let me just see who this is, who wants to give you. Shane Sean says, tell Dan I'll buy the Bama tickets for him so that I can take my son to the game if he wants to sell them. His son has never been to a game. He's got a young son. Shane Sean, big Alabama fan.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Is there a way I can get Shane Sean's number? Because I have a grandson, believe it or not, it kills me, but he loves Alabama.
Oh, wow.
I know, exactly.
So would you take him to the game on Saturday night or no? He's too young.
There's a possibility, or his father, one of the two, but I got to check with him first.
Okay. All right, now I got to figure out from Brandon has to tell us how he's got to get them to us. Brandon needs to send us the tickets or the link or whatever. I think they're all wireless now anyway to get them on your phone.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't sure, but I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it. Shane could buy it, but I got to check with my kid first. So
yeah, no. If you got a son and a grandson, for him to get his and it would be a good time for him to go to one because it won't be like a lot of angst or anything. You know what I mean? It's Mercer.
Yeah. So what do I? So I just hold on and then call.
Yeah, I'll find out. I'll find out from Brandon. Give Chad your address so that we can mail the Champies to you, and then we'll find out from Brandon what the story is and how you get the tickets.
Okay, and then you know my contact number.
Yeah, I'll give Brandon your contact information on how to get this.
So let's move on to this. So let's talk about the Michigan Wolverine.
Yeah.
First off, Jim lost 40 pounds, which is good because at the end of the year he looks a little bit more leaner. And actually, it'll be better for him. He'll fit the suit better when he applies for an application for another college.
Oh, my gosh. Can't believe you went there.
Yeah, well, I did because I'm tired of this. Okay, I'm tired of this. What's going to happen is his record against top 10 teams suck. His record against Ohio State sucks. But let's set him aside. Let's move on to the game itself. Beginning of the game, Ronnie Bell, one of our best players. Every year he's played since he's been there in Michigan. His senior year, the guy's a great athlete, speedster, the whole 9 yards. Every year he gets hurt. I feel bad for the guy. I think he blew his knee out or whatever. So let's move on to rushing. Tom, now mind you, I'm saying all this. I'm not on the Michigan bandwagon, okay? It's only one game, but I like what I see. Let's see what happens the next game against Washington, because they're going to be pissed off that they got beat by a no-name team.
Right.
So what I'm rushing, they ran for over 300 yards, Tom. And Corum, this running back, number 2, ran for 111 yards. The actual running back coach for Michigan is Mike Hart. He played from 2004 to 2007, and he holds the single record for yards for Michigan, 5,040 yards. And he looks just like Michael Hart, short guy, stocky, and man, I'll tell you, Tom, this guy loves to contact. I mean, he pounds people, and I mean, I'm excited about that. We haven't had a good runner in a long time. And then McNamara, our quarterback, he's not flashy, but you know what? He doesn't make mistakes. And in college football, that's a big thing, turnovers, and he doesn't do that. But the 2 more things. Number 1, McCarty, the freshman, a 5-star. He went in that game. I don't know if you saw that pass, but he threw across the field, across his body, a freaking rope. It was like 40 to 50 yards. Unbelievable. Hit the guy, touchdown, and this guy he's a winner. We're going to be really well with this quarterback. We haven't had a real good quarterback in a while either, but he's really good in the future. Then, of course, the last thing is Aiden Hutchinson, our defensive lineman. He's a monster. He's 6'6" tall. He's 265, but he's solid, Tom. He is solid. They showed a highlight of him with this regular dumbbell you do a bench press with, and it had some big ass weight on, all right. And he laid on his back, and he holds this bar up with one hand. He gets up off the ground, and then after he gets up off the ground, he goes back on the ground with that bar. Never lost grip of that bar. Never dropped that bar. Tom, that's not easy to do.
Yeah. Now, it'll be interesting to see where they go, how they go against Washington. Obviously, it's Western Michigan, but at least, you can only play the people that are in front of you, and it's a good win. The question will be, thanks for the call, Wolverine Dan. I want to knock a couple of more out before I get to Tom Luginbill. The question will be for Michigan fans is what is the pain threshold? You know what I mean? What is the pain threshold? What if he wins 9 games, you can't blow him out, right? Right? Or if they win 10 and get whacked by – if they go 10-2 and get whacked by Ohio State, he's back. If he goes 7-5 and gets beat by Ohio State, he's done, right? What if he goes 7-5 and beats Ohio State? That's what you're going to have to think about. But we've got all season long to think about that. Jason is in Hartzell weighing in. Jason, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I am fantastic.
Yeah, I was calling in. I think an overlooked game this week that's coming up is the UAB Georgia game. I think it's a terrible matchup as far as the considered cupcake teams that Georgia will play on their schedule. I think it's a terrible matchup for Georgia. UAB is, and I think that game's going to be a whole lot better than what people think, especially if Kirby Smart overlooks that UAB team going into a hate rivalry week next week against South Carolina.
There's no way Kirby Smart's going to take UAB lightly. I mean, there's just no way. UAB's going to be scrappy in that game. I don't think that he takes UAB lightly in any way, shape, or form. And they've got issues. I mean, they didn't score an offensive touchdown against Clemson. Now, Clemson's a nice defense. But, JT Daniels, I told you guys all summer long, I'm not a fan. I don't feel it. I'm sure he'll be all right. But they have got to figure out what to do offensively, and Bill Clark is a witch. And let me tell you, they will not take UAB lightly. They're not going to be sleeping on UAB. This isn't like they're playing, some FCS team. This is a very good group of 5 team in UAB.
Absolutely, and I don't think JT Daniels is a very good quarterback either. If you do your research on him, he completely just melted down the season at USC.
Yeah.
And threw as many interceptions as he did touchdowns. And you could see that last weekend when they played Clemson, Kirby Smart was completely trying to cover that up with him. They barely would let him throw a forward pass other than a screen or bubble screen or something like that, And when he starts throwing interception, you're going to see that kid melt down. He might be a good kid and all, but he don't have what it takes upstairs as far as letting a play go before that went bad and going to the next play. He don't have that, and that was shown before the end of the year. That's why they didn't start that kid last year until all the tough defenses were over and he played the last 4 games. That's the whole reason that Jamie Newman left that team. It wasn't to get ready for the NFL. It was because he was told up front that during the Mississippi game, that would be when JT Daniels was going to be the starter, and he wasn't going to deal with that. But
I don't think you're – I'll be honest with you. I don't think you're far off from the truth. I mean, I'm going to ask Tom Luginbill about JT Daniels and Bryce Young, for example, the kid who's only played 1 game, and get his thoughts. Now, Daniels was – he was 22 of 30, but he did throw a pick, only 135 yards. It was all check down, dump off crap, that kind of stuff. But he doesn't seem to adapt well on his feet. I think that's the big thing about it. It sounds like, Jason, you're a big Blazers fan. Am I lying or not?
No, I'm an Alabama fan myself,
okay.
But I just keep up with college football, and I can't wait to see UAB destroy that offensive line Georgia's got. Their defensive line is going to cut through it like hot butter. The guys ain't as big as, a Power 5 team's defensive line, but they're scrappy and they're fast, and Georgia's going to get a reality check the first quarter of that game. And if they don't watch out, if they let this game go to the fourth quarter, UAB's got a chance to win this game.
Wow.
Now, they might be ready, and by the halftime, they're putting in the third string. I don't know. But they better not let it get to the second half, and the starters still need to be in the game when they're playing UAB.
I appreciate you, Jason. Good job by you.
Thanks.
Let me get one more quick one in here. Not that Pruitt is up. Oh, he's gone? Okay. All right, let's get a break. Danny T. Here's a country unheard from. We don't hear from him all year, and then football season happens. Can we pump the brakes on Bryce Young for the Heisman? Just 1 game, people. Let the young man grow up. Yeah, but the point is that when you look at the first week, to me, Matt Corral, Bryce Young. Those are the 2 guys that look the best, to me. All right, let's get a break. When we come back, Tom Luginbill's in from ESPN. He's next right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
With the help of Cheerios Oat Crunch Almond, I get everyone's morning started with a smile. It has a delicious and hearty combination of the Cheerios you love, whole grain oats, and sliced almonds for an extra crunchy crunch. That's how I set the rhythm for a great day. Look for Cheerios Oat Crunch Almond in your local grocery store.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Bob Baumhauer and 97.7 ESPN The Zone have teamed up to bring you a huge opportunity this fall. Each week, come on down to Baumhauer's during the drive on Thursdays between 5 and 7 and register to win a Lunch Bunch gift certificate for 6 to Baumhauer's. But wait, there's more. Each weekly winner will then be placed into a drawing for Bob's tickets to the LSU-Alabama game in Tuscaloosa, complete with an invitation to Bob's exclusive pregame party at Baumhauer's Tent on the Quad. Stay tuned to 97.7 ESPN The Zone for other opportunities to sign up and win Bob's tickets.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, more of the Thom Abraham Show on your home for Crimson Tide Sports, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
At Woody Anderson Ford, where you can get your... And welcome back to Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, where you can get your service done. Even if you don't have a Ford, they'll get it done for you at Woody Anderson Ford. They do a tremendous job, and this is a great time to make an appointment. Go on down there and check out those service lanes. They're unbelievable. It looks like a NASCAR garage down there, and they take such great pride in their shop. They're going to take great pride in making sure that your car gets serviced properly. As always, for now, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, it seems like Woody Anderson Ford bringing us Tom Luginbill, normally on Mondays, but with the holiday yesterday, he joins us here on a Tuesday in the doghouse, and he is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Lugs, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good, man. It was a great opening week of football, man.
Man, just the crowds and everything packed in. I mean, what we saw at Doak Campbell Stadium, Wisconsin, your game in Norman, Oklahoma. I mean, it was just something to see. And I was nervous that the crowds might not come back, that people might get conditioned to just watching a game at home. But, man, they came back in droves, and that was probably – they were the stars of the weekend were the fans.
Well, I think it gave everybody just a sense of normalcy, right? Like you felt like, okay, finally we are back to, feeling like our weekend routine in the fall is normal. Whatever we want to define as being normal. But I'll tell you right now, those fans in Blacksburg, they weren't kidding around.
Yeah.
And they were a big reason. Virginia Tech won that game.
Yeah, against North Carolina, which I guess the bright spot for a dismal ACC opening weekend. I mean, goodness gracious almighty, getting beat by all kinds of people in all their big matchups they lost. Some people are even looking at that game and saying, well, UNC isn't all that we thought. So, maybe the only bright spot in the ACC weekend is that Virginia Tech team.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is a pretty good football team. It wasn't a good barometer against UMass. But you're right. With what we saw from Clemson, North Carolina did not handle the preparation for their opening week game. It was a difficult environment. Miami stunk. For Virginia Tech and for a coach on the hot seat, that was a huge, huge W for them.
Yeah, that was a great job by them. But then even you go deeper and you look at, Duke getting beat by Charlotte. I mean, goodness gracious almighty. And your former team, Georgia Tech, going down to the Huskies. I mean, goodness gracious. Can't lose those games.
How about being a member of the Pac-12 this week? Washington goes down to Montana. Washington State loses to Utah State. BYU beats Arizona. Nevada beats Cal. Oregon should have lost. Okay, I mean that thing. Stanford gets throttled by Kansas State, and now you've got Oregon that has to go to Ohio State, and Washington has to go to Michigan.
Yeah, good luck with that. So the Alliance went 2-3 against the Big 12 and the SEC. So the Alliance needs some work to do. Now, to your game, you had Oklahoma-Tulane. That was expected to be a rollover. Tough for those kids at Tulane. But they did spend a couple of days in Tuscaloosa, and, they are an original SEC team. They came out of Tuscaloosa thinking that they were back in the SEC. How much of that was Oklahoma just kind of putting it on cruise control, and how much of the credit really should go to Tulane in the way they were prepared and how they played?
All the credit should go to Tulane. That, getting displaced, having to relocate. I don't know if you saw my opening segment of that game on ABC, but what people don't understand is they moved them to Birmingham, but it's not just the football team. It's every student athlete of every sport on campus. They put them in all in one hotel and convention center. So you're having to share meeting rooms, training tables, study hall places, the weight room. It's not just football. And then the place they put them in for the athletic training staff, there were no ice machines.
Wow.
So you're dealing with this throughout the week. Then, as I mentioned on air, if Alabama don't let them use their indoor facility, they don't have a place to practice on Tuesday. And Tuesday is a huge prep day and install day for your game plan, maybe one of your most important days of the week, and they wouldn't have had it. So they come into the game hyper-focused, executed. Number one, Tulane's got better players than people think they do. That team's got a chance to cause some real problems in the American. Their quarterback, Michael Pratt, outplayed Spencer Rattler, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler's on the stat line. You'll look at him and say, he had a pretty good day. No, he did not. In fact, he was one offensive pass interference call away from having 3 interceptions instead of 2. Most of his yards and his production just came on dink and dunk throws. He didn't even come close to resembling a Heisman candidate. And Lincoln Riley and his staff got out-coached. They got outplayed. They got out-coached. They had an opportunity to put it away and didn't do it. And the Tulane team didn't quit. They just kept fighting.
The thing that concerned me the most was I have been touting Oklahoma. I think I had Oklahoma number 1, really, in preseason. That was the team I thought. And their defense. I mean, what happened to – I thought Oklahoma was playing defense now. And, that felt like it was going to be like a 45 to – or a 42-10 type game, not 42-35. What happened to the defense there at Oklahoma?
Well, I'll tell you, the players are vastly improved. Their depth is vastly improved. But I got a sneaking suspicion that they spent an awful lot of time this past offseason reading their press clippings.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since people spoke favorably about Oklahoma on the defensive side of the ball. And based off of their performance last year, the production, particularly up front, there's good reason for it. It's not their talent base is greater than it's probably ever been on that side of the ball over the last 20 years, but they weren't prepared, and they played in spurts. They were spotty. There were times where they just overwhelmed Tulane, and then there were times where Tulane just blocked them up, both in the run and pass game. So just inconsistent, lack of execution. You could tell Alex Grinch, Lincoln Riley were uber frustrated on the sideline throughout the course of that game because they would start to get on a run and then they would have a lapse and let Tulane back into it, and that was very frustrating for them.
Tom Luginbill with us here talking about the weekend that was opening weekend for college football. And, the other team from that part of the country where Tulane is from that, everybody was kind of making excuses for, but Tulane kind of, ended that conversation was LSU. And on Friday I wrote and commented that I'm in a wait-and-see mood. I'm in a show-me mood with Ed Orgeron and LSU, and let's see what they do. And I also thought that UCLA looked very good in their opening day game against Hawaii. And the 38-27 score, that game wasn't as close as that. I mean, they could be playing now, and UCLA is still up by 10 or 15 points in that game. I just thought that UCLA is very good. I think that Chip Kelly's got something going on for the first time since he's returned to college football. And on the flip side, they crank up the heat on LSU. Maybe the defensive problems weren't all Bo Pelini's. I mean, they tackled like a high school team. That was awful.
Well, number one, UCLA is a lot better than people think they are, but they're also comprised of a bunch of fourth and fifth year guys, some super seniors. They've got so much experience on that football team, and they can run the football. I think Chip Kelly is one of the best in-game coaches in all of college football. I really believe that. Not just getting his team prepared, but when the game starts, he is so dialed in, and that team does not have game management issues. They don't have clock issues. They have a great feel for play calling. So in that regard, not surprised to see that at all out of UCLA. The issue with LSU is coaching, because you can't have their talent and perform to that level. And it's disheartening to watch because it's not just their starters, it's their 2 and 3 deep. I mean, across the board, UCLA doesn't even have close to the recruiting profile that LSU does. So to me, that's all coaching and preparedness. You're either prepared for the opponent or you're not. And to have an opening game for LSU to evaluate what UCLA did, how do you not prepare to play better? I mean, you had to watch that tape and said, oh, these guys might be a little bit better than we thought. And you go in almost with the exact opposite mindset.
Now, Alabama and Miami, I thought that Miami was going to give them a battle. I thought they would be ready to play, much more veteran team. Alabama would need some time to shake out the new offense and so on. Apparently, Alabama got themselves ready to go on the bus ride over because they hit the ground flying. And you covered Bryce Young all through his high school career. You know him from all of that. A lot of folks that are Alabama fans, to wait and see. He's a smallish guy, 6 foot, slight at about 195 pounds. I was stunned at that kid's composure. The way he just hung in that pocket, not having happy feet, the way he distributed the ball, some of the plays he made, 344 yards, 4 touchdowns, just totally, totally smooth. It was an amazing performance.
It was a really good performance, and it'll only get better because the people around him and some of their other newcomers are going to get better just like he's going to. And the relationship between him and Bill O'Brien and the level of comfort, the offensive line beginning to gel and come together, that's going to continue to get better. So obviously he has set a very, very high bar. I hope that he's mature enough to not fall into the trap of buying into all the hype that's being heaped upon him. If he can keep a level head, they're going to be just fine. The thing that's interesting to me about him is, and this is the difference. I was asked the other day, if we're going to say that Georgia and Alabama are maybe the class of college football right now, what's the difference? The difference is Georgia cannot do at quarterback what Alabama can. At Georgia, you know exactly where the quarterback's going to be. There's no dynamic to it. There's no diversity to the offense that includes the quarterback either by design or improvising. And at Alabama, you've got a guy that if things aren't perfect, the play's not over. And you can design things to move him around. You can allow for him to, make a move to step up, and then all of a sudden he's got to flush the pocket, and again, the play's not over, and then he makes a big play downfield either with his arm or his leg. Georgia can't do that. And I think that is a huge, huge gap between the two programs for that particular reason.
Now, for Clemson, DJ Uiagalelei, I think I almost got it right there. But
Uiagalelei.
Uiagalelei, okay. Well, I mean, he was doing his best Jeremy Johnson act in that game. I mean, I hate to invoke that, but, remember Jeremy Johnson for Auburn, who came in, filled in, looked good, and then when he took over the job, didn't seem to be able to do much. Georgia with 7 sacks. This is the second game in a row, if you go back to the playoff against Ohio State, that Clemson's offensive line has been trashed. What are we seeing here? An incredible defense by Georgia, or are we seeing a little bit of a step back from Clemson?
We're seeing a bit of both, but if you recall last week, you asked me, a key in that thing, and I told you that I thought Clemson was below average in the offensive line and that it was going to be a problem. If you went back and watched Clemson a year ago, particularly down the stretch, when Travis Etienne was dinged up and he didn't play, they were not the same team because he couldn't the other backs couldn't overcompensate for how poor they were in the offensive line. He could. And a couple of things stood out to me. It didn't surprise me all that much, but stood out to me. Number one, the poor kid, he was under assault the entire game. All right, so you have no chance. You're rattled. You don't have enough experience. You got a true freshman tailback. You've got 3 new receivers, no Amari Rodgers to depend on. But here's the biggest issue that Clemson has. DJ Uiagalelei, for as big and strong and powerful and athletic as he is not an innately accurate passer. Nor do I think he's a great decision maker at this point. He sprays the ball around. When he gets under duress or things aren't perfect, his eyes come down, and now all of a sudden he's not playing from within the offense. And guys before him, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, they were innately accurate guys. They could do those things under duress. And right now, I know he hasn't played a lot. That's not DJ. So until they get some things shored up in the offensive line, they're going to continue to struggle because if you can't protect him, he's going to spray the ball around.
Tom Luginbill with us here. Now, I know that Auburn was playing Akron. I know Akron has won 5 games in 3 years, and they're 1-23 in their last 24 games. I get all of that. But if you'd have told me that Bo Nix could go 20-22 for 275 and 3 TDs against air, 7-on-7, I would have said no way. He's going to throw the ball into the ground. He's going to airmail guys. Man, did he look comfortable in that offense, regardless of opponent. He did look very comfortable. They get Alabama State this week. He gets another week to settle in and continue to build confidence before they head to Happy Valley for Penn State in a couple of weeks. That was kind of impressive.
I was impressed, too. And I think the thing that I was most impressed with the upsets that we saw with Vanderbilt getting housed by East Tennessee State, Colorado State getting housed by South Dakota State, all of those things are mindset. They're focused. They're a respect for the opponent. And it can be very easy for superior team talent-wise to take that field the first time and kind of be lackadaisical, go through the motions. You end up winning the game, but it's not pretty. But to go out and play to your own standard and your own level and not down to the level of competition shows, I think, not only a certain sense of maturity on that team, but it shows that the coaching staff had that team ready to play. And that's important because it gives you a sense of maybe who they are, all right, as a unit, because a lot of these teams don't do that in week 1 scenarios against inferior opponents.
Yeah, finally, Matt Corral. I came into the season telling everybody who would listen, all the JT Daniel fans, that this is the best quarterback in the SEC coming back. He's got
best quarterback in the country.
Maybe best quarterback in the country. He reminds me a lot of Baker Mayfield, and I had said that before. Kurt and I said that late in the game last night, but I tweeted it out like the second series of the game. I said, my God, it's the second coming of Baker Mayfield. But goes for 381 last night. Love his attitude, his leadership, and they played some defense. I don't know how bad Louisville is. I'm a big, wait 3 weeks into the season before you can make all these decisions. But right now, Ole Miss, third best team in the SEC, right behind Alabama and Georgia. They look like they're that good if they can play any kind of defense. I don't know how you corral that offense.
Yeah, well, listen, they're improved on defense. From what we saw last night, they're improved. Are they improved enough to close the gap with an Alabama and get in the scoring race with them? Maybe. We'll find out. But that quarterback is hell on wheels, man, and he can do it with his legs. He can do it with his arm. They're playing at a rapid-fire pace. I mean, how many times did you hear Kirk complain last night about not being able to do replays?
Right. Yeah, there's no replays.
Right? I mean, you can't. It's hard to do analysis in a game like that, but that quarterback, people have placed too much attention on Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, Keaton Slovis, the DJ. This dude, I think, is playing at another level.
Well, speaking of high-speed offenses, you have Tennessee, and this week against Pitt, which is a great measuring stick game for both those teams, especially for Tennessee. They were going so fast. I mean, it was amazing that the referee's not even in position by the time they're snapping the ball. That Josh Heupel offense going hyper fast. But I thought in watching that game that they gassed themselves. I thought by the second quarter, remember, they went into a lull in the second quarter, into the third quarter, and it looked like they had gassed themselves. What's your take as you prepare for this Tennessee-Pitt game?
There might have been a little bit of that. I think, a couple of just initial positives as I've been diving into this matchup is, number one, it was great to see Rocky Top rocking.
Yeah.
The fans turned out. They were excited. There was energy in the stadium. That's good. We all know that Tennessee's fan base, when they want to be, can be awfully toxic, awfully cruel. All right, but it was a good night to be a Vol. They got a win versus a very, very poor Bowling Green team. That Bowling Green offensive line looked like an Alabama Full Athletic Association offensive line. I mean, it was downright poor. The question for me for Tennessee is, they showed some flashes, but Joe Milton is, for all of his gifts, he's just not an accurate player, and I think it's going to rear its ugly head sooner or later. And this Pitt team coming to town can flat play on defense, and they are really good up front. If you watch that Tennessee game, the two deep balls that he missed to wide open receivers, you just can't miss those throws. Not if you're as talented physically as he is. So I still think there's a lot of work to do. There were some positives for Josh Heupel, and now we'll see with Pat Narduzzi coming in. I think a lot of it's going to be, Pat Narduzzi's playing with a quarterback that feels like he's been there for 10 years. You got weapons. You've got a good defense. For me, how does Pitt handle the crowd? I think Tennessee's fan base really needs to create a problem for them.
I thought Joe Milton was the same exact guy that got benched at Michigan. I thought, that's him. That's Joe Milton. He'll do a couple of things, but man, he can overthrow anybody. I mean, he's got a cannon for an arm.
No.
He just there's no governor on that arm, man. I mean, it's just
no.
Tom Luginbill has been a guest. Tommy, I appreciate you so much. We'll be watching. Certainly, the Pitt-Tennessee game is one of the more intriguing games in the SEC this weekend, and we will be keeping an eye on that one. And I appreciate you as always.
You bet, man. Thank you.
Tom Luginbill, brought to us by our good friends at Woody Anderson Ford. All right, we'll get a break in here. We'll come back with more right after this. You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tom Luginbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed precision overhead garage door service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You know that there are some words that have really messed up our world. The devil, way back in Genesis, said, has God really said? Unfortunately, we often listen to those words of the devil. We question God's word. We often doubt God's goodness, and we make a mess for ourselves and so many others. Hey, let's honor the word of God for what it is. It is God's word. Let's follow it and be blessed by it. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. At this hour, it remains a long shot that the Cowboys will have all-pro guard Zach Martin for Thursday's NFL season opener at Tampa Bay, but there's a slight chance he could play. Martin, who tested positive for COVID-19, hasn't officially been ruled out yet. To be eligible Thursday, he needs to be asymptomatic for 48 hours and post 2 negative COVID tests within a 24-hour period. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reporting the Seahawks and Pro Bowl left tackle Dwayne Brown have discussed potential solutions to his situation in recent days. Seattle doesn't plan to extend Brown, who wants a new contract, but has discussed adjustments to the final year of his deal. Brown is ready to go for Sunday's season opener against the Colts. If all goes well for Dodgers lefty Clayton Kershaw with today's rehab outing, the team expects he'll be ready to return for his next start. Kershaw hasn't pitched since July 3rd because of left elbow inflammation.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog, Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like
Dale McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Now, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. For all your mortgage needs, it's North Alabama Mortgage. And, a lot of times it may just be you want to do a little bit of work around the house. Maybe you got an updated project you want to do. Or maybe you have a little bit higher interest rate than you think you should have. You need to check with North Alabama Mortgage and see what you can do about getting that interest rate down while these rates remain very, very low. They're going to get you through the process. They do a tremendous job with it, as always. Brian Hammaker and his whole team are just fantastic. I recommend people. All right, I am telling you about people, and these people at North Alabama Mortgage are going to take care of you. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com for more information. It's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. All right, joining us now, a guy who does a tremendous job covering the Tide for On3Sports.com. He is, of course, Clint Lamb, and he's on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Clint, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing today, Tom?
I am great, and boy, I got to tell you, I didn't see that coming. I thought it would take a minute, right? I mean, I did just a minute to get things shook out a little bit, but they hit the ground running, and I was stunned at the general poise of young Mr. Bryce Young.
Yeah, I was too. There was a part of me. I knew the coaching staff had confidence in Bryce Young. They've talked about it quite a bit. But just with the undersized Miami defensive line, the fact that you got a good stable of running backs, including a very physical inside runner and Brian Robinson Jr. to kind of start you off, I thought that they would go a lot more heavy run early in the game, really establish being the more physical team, and then allow Bryce Young to play off of that. And I think they ran the first play with Brian Robinson Jr., and from there they slung the ball around like 5 or 6 straight times with Bryce Young. And I think that was them sending a message that they had, a ton of confidence in his ability. And even though he is not a veteran from an experience standpoint, they trust him like a veteran, which is something that Nick Saban talked about after the game a little bit, just allowing him to, kind of slide protection and do some things pre-snap that are going to make his job a little bit easier. But they have a ton of confidence and a ton of trust in Bryce, and now we all see why. You put up those kind of numbers, it goes beyond the numbers, really. I mean, you could look at the statistics and say, he had a phenomenal performance, but just watching the game and watching him extend plays, keep his eyes downfield, I thought he was very smart. There was probably a couple times he could have run, but I think the main goal with him, especially early on, is keeping him healthy and making sure that he understands when it's smart to run and put his body at risk, and when it's better just to kind of live to fight another day and, try to throw the football or throw it away. Even if you got to punt the football, your offense is going to be putting up points fairly consistently. So I just think all the way around, he had a great performance. It was a great debut. It reflected with the statistics, but anybody that watched knows it goes beyond just the numbers. And Alabama should be very confident in their starting quarterback moving forward.
Yeah, he was reticent to take off, it seemed like, and not because it just seemed like it would be to the last minute. And we just heard from Tom Luginbill a few minutes ago, and he talked about the things that he was able to do on the fly, similar in a way to Matt Corral, where he could go to choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, and maybe we don't see that out of JT Daniels, who gets a lot of press, from Georgia. But it seemed like he can invent things. We saw him flip a little backhand pass at one point in time, attacking a line of scrimmage and then just kind of pitching it out to a guy. It just seemed to be that he was in total command out there. And for a smaller player, under 200-pound player, he took some pretty good shots, and it didn't seem to faze him.
It was wild to me, Miami's game plan going in. Manny Diaz talked about it, and I know that a Miami defender, I can't remember who it was, but one of them talked about it in the post-game press conferences. Their goal was to get him off the spot, get him on the move, and try to force him to make plays on the move. And to me, that just doesn't make sense based off of what we saw out of him in high school. Granted, I think he can stand in the pocket and win. I do understand that his size can maybe limit what he can do in the pocket in some ways, but I think he compensates extremely well. But when you're trying to force him, or you're designing your defensive game plan to get him on the move, first of all, you completely eliminate the advantage of him being undersized at that point, because he doesn't have those big offensive linemen in front of him. And two, he's proven in the past, and I understand it's high school, but, I mean, a guy's skill set is a guy's skill set. He's every bit as effective on the move as he is standing in the pocket. So I was completely baffled by that game plan by Miami. It clearly didn't work. As far as protecting himself when it came to running the football, I think that a lot of that had to do with, that lack of size. You do want to limit those big hits that he's taken. I agree that he did a great job when he did get hit, and it's football. I mean, you're going to. It's unavoidable. But just watching how he was able to respond, and limit that kind of stuff, I think that that's something, that you'll see a lot more of as the season progresses. If there's a situation where him taking off and getting the first down means them winning or losing, I think he'll take off in those moments. But I know some Alabama fans were frustrated with the lack of running a couple of times from him, but I think that was by design. I think that's something the coaching staff put an emphasis on going into the game. And, we'll have to see if that continues. But Alabama fans need to understand, we saw a quarterback's career be affected at multiple points throughout his career. In college with Tua Tagovailoa taking hits that he probably didn't need to be taking. So if you're Bryce Young, you want him to, limit the hits that he's taking and live to fight another day. That should be a huge factor because as much as Tua, dealt with injuries, he was also about 30 pounds, 25, 30 pounds heavier than Bryce Young at certain points throughout his career. So I thought that the game plan was well designed by Bill O'Brien. I thought that Bryce Young and the offense executed it well, and then they had a complimentary defensive performance. So all the way around, I was very pleased with what we got out of Alabama for week one.
No, they got running backs that can run the ball. I mean, he's not Jalen Hurts. I mean, Hurts, that was built around his game. That was the better part of his game. This kid is very, very accurate slinging it around. He only ran twice, and neither were by design. So it wasn't something where they have him in the offense. I think that's as much Bill O'Brien as it is anything else. I mean, even with Deshaun Watson, when the Texans were making the playoffs every year and Bill O'Brien was the head coach there, Deshaun Watson's rushing yards just came on scrambles, on times when he was squeezed out of the pocket. That's how it seemed here, that they're not necessarily running, option and speed option and things like that, trying to get Bryce Young into the running. Matt Corral, as tough as he is, last night he plays like that all season long. He's going to miss some games. It just you just don't want your guy taking those kind of hits, I wouldn't think. And it would seem to be that the way this offense is built, it's built around Bryce Young delivering the ball, not necessarily having to be the bell cow runner.
Yeah, and until it becomes a necessity, why would you ask him to do it? If you're moving the ball and you're scoring points by having that strong stable of running backs, by having a improving offensive line, a quarterback that can win from within the pocket or on the move. But when I talk about on the move, I'm talking about in the passing game and keeping his eyes downfield. If those things are working, and that's enough ways to attack a defense, and there's going to be various points throughout certain games where you really need to take advantage of Bryce Young's legs. And if you don't do it that often, then the defense isn't really going to be expecting it that much. But I would say that his skill set is different in a lot of ways from a Joe Burrow. But I would say that that's kind of the usage that you're looking for. LSU didn't ask him to do a ton. There were some QB draws and things like that he was asked to do at various points at LSU, especially that last year. But a lot of times his rushing yardage came as a result of him eluding pressure in the pocket, getting on the move, and taking off. And I think that if you see that from Bryce Young, that's going to be the main source of rushing yardage that you're going to see out of him for the majority of, not just this year, but the majority of his career, just because he is undersized. There's no point in putting him in a position where he's taking big hits unnecessarily when other things are working. So I completely agree with you on that point.
I thought that Cameron Latu looked good at tight end. He caught a couple of touchdown passes. His first two catches, I think, of his career, ended up with 3 catches for 43 yards and was a threat. We saw that poignant moment with Jaleel Billingsley standing alongside of Nick Saban in a teaching moment, which his father actually even responded to on Twitter, which I thought was really cool. Do we expect, though, or do you expect that Billingsley will be in there and have these opportunities that Latu had, or was this a performance thing as good as Cameron Latu seemed to be?
Well, first of all, I give Jaleel Billingsley's dad a lot of credit because he understands what Nick Saban's trying to do. He's trying to it's more than just a football thing. And as much as, him being out there and still getting playing time despite, whatever situation was happening off the field or, on the field as far as maybe a bad attitude during practice because he got, pushed down the depth chart or whatever it was. Nick Saban is trying to change that behavior, and that's going to do a lot more for Jaleel Billingsley's career and just him, as a person than anything that he would have been able to do on Saturday. And I think that's what his dad understands and why he shared that message that he did as far as being in support of it. And I think that the message has been received at this point. When you talk about, how Nick Saban responded when being asked about Jaleel Billingsley after the game, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday during his Monday press conference, the days of him kind of ripping Jaleel Billingsley a new one are done. You can just tell with the way that he was asked, he kind of made it more of a team thing and how he approaches, the team in general, not just Jaleel. And I think that, to me, that's kind of a signal that the message has been delivered. There's no need to pile on and continue to harp on Jaleel Billingsley and what he's had going on. So I think that that's a good sign. And now you're moving towards, how do you get Jaleel Billingsley and Cameron Latou involved in the game plan? And one aspect of Latou's game that I thought was fantastic, especially early on, was his run blocking. I thought he did a fantastic job of moving guys in the run game, sealing guys off the edge and allowing, Brian Robinson Jr. and Jason McClellan to have a couple of big pop runs, or bigger pop runs, I guess you'd say, than they would have had otherwise. And, when you have that ability, plus you have the ability to be, a receiving option, some tight ends, they're very reliable. They got great hands, but when you throw them the football, wherever they catch it, they're done. That's where it's going to be. They're not going to create after the catch very much. Cameron Latou has proven, whether it be back in the spring game or on Saturday, he can turn, short passes into long gains and make guys miss and break tackles and stiff arm guys. And I just think that having that kind of threat on top of having a nice move tight end like Jaleel Billingsley, that can be kind of you can line him up as a big slot. You can line him up as a perimeter receiver. You can play him as a move tight end. You're really not going to have him as an inline guy too much. He's just not big enough and physical enough. But when you have that combination of skill sets and bigger bodied guys, both of them are, 6'4", 6'5", Billingsley's 230, Latou's, 250 plus. I mean, that's a great, set of tight ends to have if you're Alabama's offense. So I think that they'll end up getting both of them involved once, Jaleel Billingsley gets back in the good graces of the coaching staff. And I don't know if that will be this weekend versus Mercer or if he's, still going to have to continue to work his way back, and it might take a few more weeks. But when they get both those guys established on top of the receiving threats that we're starting to see emerge, this is going to be a very potent Alabama passing game.
Yeah, and we saw Jamison Williams taking the top off the defense, and if you have that happening, I mean, that guy runs like the wind, but he can't outrun that Bryce Williams pass. I mean, that was one of the differences we saw between DJU for Clemson on Saturday night and in Bryce Williams. Bryce Williams hits him in stride down the field, and we see some of these other guys, with guys open, De'Aaron King, with guys open down the field and just airmailing them. But Williams, he was able to go get that ball and do a tremendous job there, which helps out Slade Bolden underneath. Even John Mechie, who has got good speed underneath as well. But the Williams factor, the down the field factor of that guy was pretty significant.
It absolutely was. I completely agree with you. That's why it's so important for quarterbacks and ball placement. If you go back and you watch Tua Tagovailoa during his time at Alabama, what was a very underrated aspect of his game is where he placed the football. It wasn't just in a place where his receivers could catch it. It was in a place where they can continue to run and make plays after the catch. And that's what you saw from Bryce Young, hitting, Jamison Williams in stride and allowing him to, if he's got to slow down or he's got to adjust for the football, his speed becomes a non-factor or a lot less of a factor. And so that's why all that's very important. But when you look at, John Mechie and his ability to win underneath, you look at, like I said, if you look at Slade Bolden and John Mechie and their ability to win on the short to intermediate stuff, and Mechie can win deep as well. We saw that last year quite a bit. But then you got JoJo Earl, who's kind of an electric playmaker, a guy that's going to do a lot of stuff, on the short to intermediate as well. A guy like Jamison Williams and his skill set, he's long, he's kind of lean, he's got plenty of speed. I mean, on that 94-yard touchdown, that Miami defender, was kind of running stride for a little while, but just the long speed of a guy like Jamison Williams, you're just not going to catch that guy. And so adding that to the offense, it opens up things for everybody else, because as a defense, you want to play guys closer to the box. You want to get, safeties and stuff involved and cornerbacks ready to come up and stop the run, because Alabama's got a good run game. But when you have that threat of a guy being able to take advantage of you playing up a little bit further by, winning over the top, it's something that, will open up a lot of different avenues, whether it be the short to intermediate passing game or the run game. And that's going to make Alabama's offense all the more difficult to defend. So there are still, some things that need to be worked out. The offensive line, I think at this point, is still a work in progress. Chris Owens ended up getting the start at right tackle rather than center, and I thought that was good for him. He's got the experience factor, but he was struggling with snaps in fall camp, and so I think that eliminated that issue. Will he continue to be the starting right tackle? I don't know. I think, in the early parts of the season, you really rely on the veteran experience that you have. And maybe Chris Owens is able to hang on to that, but Darian Dalcourt did a great job of being the starting center. And so, I feel like that Alabama's got some great options along their offensive line. It's going to take a little while for those guys to come together. But overall, as many question marks as the offense had coming into this game, you couldn't have asked for any more answers to be, or questions to be answered, because, just the fact that the offensive line is really the only thing you're questioning right now, that's huge for Alabama.
Yeah, and I thought defensively, Henry Toa was very active. He was even credited, by the way, with 2 receptions for 25 yards in the official stats. I'm going to say that was JoJo Earl. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that was not Henry, that was JoJo Earl. But one of the things, and this is just an old thing that I've always looked at, I look at the way the tackle chart is, and I look for the solos. And all of the solos, for the most part, are out of the defensive backs. And there's a ton of assists. Will Anderson, 2 solos, 7 assists. Henry Toa had 1 tackle, 6 assists. Daniel Wright, 1 6 assists. You go all the way down the list like that. Christian Harris, 2 tackles, 3 assists. What that means is that everybody's running to the ball. There's nobody out there making unassisted solo tackles. That's what this defense did. I mean, they just run to the ball as a group, and it was always, it seemed like, 3 guys on the tackle. You couldn't credit anybody with a solo.
And that's a great observation, and it's very true. Defensive backs, a cornerback, if you have certain, swing passes or screens or whatever, a lot of times he's the one that's going to be asked to make the play, and there's not very much, to back him up if he doesn't, or at least there's not going to be for a little while. And so, yeah, you're going to see a lot more solo tackles from those kind of guys, but Alabama's defense did a great job of swarming at all 3 levels. I thought they played as a unit extremely well. I thought they complemented each other. You had the linebackers, the off-ball linebackers getting sideline to sideline when they needed to, spying De'Aaron King quite a bit. And there was a drive, especially early on in the second half, where they kind of broke down, and there were some mental lapses, and there were some penalties that Nick Saban would like to eliminate moving forward. So it's not like they played perfect, but I think they lived up to the hype as a defense in general. Because like I said, you had the off-ball linebackers getting sideline to sideline. You had the outside linebackers, your edge rushers, providing an exterior pass rush. Guy like Fedarian Mathis and some of those interior guys were fairly effective getting after the quarterback and providing an interior complementary pass rush. I thought that it was an interesting choice. It's something that we all knew was possible because Malachi Moore can play safety or star, and so can Brian Branch. But just with Malachi Moore playing star all last season when he was healthy, the assumption was that Brian Branch was going to be playing the safety spot, filling in for DeMarco Hellams, and it was going to be Malachi Moore at the star. They swapped those 2 guys, and I think that was a lot more because Brian Branch plays a lot more confidently when he's comfortable and knows what he's doing, and he's a lot more comfortable and confident playing the star position. And Malachi Moore can do a lot of different things. So I thought that was a nice adjustment and something that we didn't really see coming, and it ended up working out pretty well. I'll be curious to see how DeMarco Hellams gets back in the mix and how they kind of shuffle things around, especially if he's back this week against Mercer. But overall, very encouraging defensive performance, and it's something that I think that this unit can build on and continue to kind of prove that they're one of the best defensive units in the country.
The one negative, of course, is the injury to Christopher Allen, the strong side linebacker that plays kind of like a defensive end as well. He had 1 of the 4 sacks in the game. They say out for the season. Does out for the season, in your understanding, mean out for all the way through January? And secondly, who gets the majority of those snaps? We saw Jalen Moody playing some as well and doing a nice job. But I don't know that he moves outside. Who do you think takes up the slack for Christopher Allen?
Well, yeah, it was a huge loss for Alabama. He's kind of the perfect Robin to Will Anderson's Batman. Will Anderson's going to command so much attention on the opposite side, and you just got to have a guy who can take advantage of getting less attention. And Christopher Allen did a great job of that. Really, if he was the main pass rusher, he would still be very effective. But either way, just his veteran status and what he provided the defense, it's a pretty big loss. But as far as who ends up filling in, I think Drew Sanders is going to be your guy. Nick Saban's talked about him quite a bit since, it was announced that the injury could potentially be season-ending. And Drew Sanders apparently during fall camp was one of 3 guys with Christopher Allen and Will Anderson Jr. who was being rotated in with the first team. And that's something that I didn't realize. I thought that this year, you looked at guys like Drew Anderson and Chris Braswell and players like that who have a ton of talent, who seem to be making progress as far as their development. And you were saying going in, they deserve more opportunities this year. But who were you going to take off the field? When you got Chris Allen and you got Will Anderson, you got your guys, and they were able to play a lot of snaps last year. They were able to hold up extremely well, and you just didn't see a whole lot of rotation. Drew Sanders last year had the 3rd most, snaps for an outside linebacker on the roster, and he only had 52 the entire season. So, that was the big question mark going in, but that's why you need to have this sort of depth. That's why you need to have a Jalen Moody as a backup to Henry To'oTo'o in case he goes down with that elbow injury like he did. You step up, you get an interception from Jalen Moody, which I was proud for him to be able to see that. But that's why Alabama's depth is so valuable. But Drew Sanders is certainly going to be the guy that steps up as the starter. I think from a defending the run and from dropping in coverage, I thought he did a pretty good job against Miami. I think the pass rush, he's still developing in that area. Not that he can't be a good pass rusher. I just think that that's probably his biggest weakness right now. But then you got Chris Braswell, who's a former 5-star guy, showed some pass rushing chops back in the A-Day game where he had several sacks. And then, of course, on Saturday in a rotational role, I think he only played like 22 snaps, and he was able to get one of those 4 sacks. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a lot of Drew Sanders, but in some of those third and obvious passing situations, you get a little bit of some Chris Braswell as well. And then, Dallas Turner, the 5-star freshman who came in, even before the injury to Christopher Allen, he was already making and listed on the 2 deep. And I think he'll have an opportunity. He's a big guy, 6'4", 245 pounds, is the biggest outside linebacker on the roster from a height-weight standpoint. He should hold up extremely well against the run. Got a lot of functional strength, and he's also got some explosiveness off the football. And so I think you'll end up seeing a little bit of him at some point this season as well, if they choose to go with a rotational approach opposite of Will Anderson Jr. But they've got some options. They're very deep at outside linebacker, and now it's just time to see how they end up handling all that depth.
And finally, speaking of Sanders, Trey Sanders, I thought that was very encouraging. I still think he could end up being RB1 this year, or being the guy that ends up, having the best average yards per carry this year. But it was nice to see him out there doing some things and, in a nice touchdown run.
You know what? I did too. And Nick Saban talked about that. He went out of his way to congratulate or praise Trey Sanders, because we don't realize how hard it's been on him to get back on the football field. We don't know the extent of those injuries from the wreck that he had last year, the accident he was involved in. But, based off of things that Nick Saban has said, context clues, some of those injuries were pretty severe. And he's worked his tail off to get back on the football field. He's had a great attitude about it. And he was the 4th running back in the game on Saturday, which I thought was wild. Based off all the hype that we had heard about him throughout fall camp, I thought it was possible that he could be the number 2 guy. And that wouldn't be, anything as far as the talent of Jace McClellan or Roydell Williams. It was just that, from what I'd heard, Trey Sanders had been doing that well throughout fall camp. Instead, he was the 4th guy in, and when he was put into the game, he made the most of his opportunities on that touchdown run. He showed great vision and the ability to cut. It was a fantastic cut. It's one thing to see it, but it's another to be able to cut and make the adjustment that you need to find the open hole. He was able to do that and score a touchdown, and I think that speaks to his talent. But Alabama's got a great set of running backs. They don't have a Najee Harris who's going to be able to do all of it. One area that I think that Jace McClellan and Brian Robinson Jr. could both improve on is in pass protection. A lot of the offensive lines being kind of criticized for some sacks that were given up, including that sack fumble on Bryce Young, and I think that had a lot more to do with the pass protection from the running backs than it did the offensive line. Even though the offensive line had some, poor snaps as well, I'm not saying they didn't. It's just the running backs don't necessarily get the blame when it comes to giving up sacks, and sometimes it's they contribute to that. But other than that, I think they have a great stable of runners. They're going to do a good job of rotating those guys, and I do think that Trey Sanders ends up being one of the top rushers on the team before it's all said and done. But the question is Brian Robinson Jr. is doing the most or making the most of his opportunities, and so is Jason McClellan. So how they end up working in those guys as far as their snap share or snap distribution, that's not up to me. And I'm glad it's not up to me because it's a very difficult decision to make.
Excellent stuff. As always, Clint Lamb on 3sports.com is where you can find him covering the Tide, joining us here every week to kind of help us break down these games. And, again, next week it's Mercer. It's not something that, everybody's going to get excited about. It'll be a chance to get a lot of guys in the game, no doubt about it. But big games coming up against Florida, at Florida. Of course, Ole Miss. The first half of this season is definitely front-loaded, and Ole Miss looked like they would be a thing after the way we saw them play last night. So it's going to be very exciting stuff. Clint, I appreciate you so much, as always.
No problem, Tom. Good joining you, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. All right, let's get a break in here. When we come back, I got a little bit of Nick Saban I want to play for you from yesterday, Labor Day, which he says is not a big deal. Obviously, you're working on Labor Day, which I get that, especially for football coaches. They work 7 days a week during the season. There's no doubt about it. Also, we have our Tuesday Top 10 is our initial SEC Top 10. Our 4 in the swirly. Those are the 4 teams that don't make the top 10. Oh, someday it's going to be 6 in the swirly. But right now it's 4 in the swirly that don't make the top 10. And how they look. And, again, this is just off of 1 week. This is just off of week 1. And it changes dramatically each and every week. So I'll have that for you as well. And some of the comments that are being made about Brian Harsin and his debut as the head coach at Auburn. It's all coming up here in the final 25 minutes or so of the show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
The NFL kicking off Thursday night. The defending champion Bucs and Tom Brady at home against the Dallas Cowboys. The Bucs an 8-point home favorite. The over-under 51.5. The Falcons at home Sunday afternoon against the Eagles. Atlanta a 3.5-point favorite at home. The over-under 48. College football national championship odds after week 1. Alabama the heavy favorite plus 225. Georgia at plus 400. Ohio State at plus 550. Oklahoma plus 750. Clemson after their week 1 loss to Georgia fell from plus 350 to plus 800. Baseball, the Braves hosting the Nationals tonight. Atlanta minus 225 on the money line. Washington plus 205. The over-under 9.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com. Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. If you know me, you know I've been around a whole lot of championship teams. Well, there's one championship team in North Alabama I want to make sure you know about. The trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems. Rick Smith and his team provide the best in air conditioning solutions, so even on the hottest days, you'll be cool. Give Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and see how cool you can be. Environmental Comfort Systems. Alabama license number 92314.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Sitting here with Ann Adams of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Rise Real Estate. Is it a good time to sell your home, Ann?
Yes, it is. We have people relocating from all over the country.
Why should we choose Rise Real Estate?
Well, we've been selling real estate in North Alabama for 36 years and have sold more real estate than any other real estate company, period.
Do you help your customers through the entire process?
Yes, our agents are with you during the whole process from start to finish, from beginning to end.
In your relocation services, you have a whole team.
Yes, we have a dedicated relocation department helping customers move seamlessly into the area.
Ann Adams has been writing contracts for the last 36 years. She has the experience to help you list and sell your home, downsize your home, or help pick the perfect spot north of Alabama for you to build a future.
Call Ann Adams at 256-337-2625 or on the web at www.bhhsriserealestate.com.
Brooks & Collier has always been about making the most of your outdoors. Our lush greenhouse and new furniture ideas will inspire you, but we're also about value. Our brands are so handsome, they'll make themselves comfortable inside or out, and so well made, they'll weather the weather for many years to come. Our staff can consult you on the right choices, and Lucy for sure can show us the sofa that's the most comfortable. Make the most of your outdoors. Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your installation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
With the help of Cheerios Oat Crunch Almond, I get everyone's morning started with a smile. It has a delicious and hearty combination of the Cheerios you love, whole grain oats, and sliced almonds for an extra crunchy crunch. That's how I set the rhythm for a great day. Look for Cheerios Oat Crunch Almond in your local grocery store.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
There's so much to get to. I mean, luckily you got all week to get to it, but there is so much to get to. I was talking earlier about Brian Harsin. This segment of the show brought to you by TOC Sports. TOC Sports with the Friday night clinic, the after-hours clinic open. for any bumps and bruises that you seem to come up from a Friday night. And it was a Friday night. It was some real good action. It's Friday night. That Madison Bowl was amazing. I mean, a thing goes into overtime. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the week as well. But I don't think anybody expected Bob Jones to be that sporty against Clemson. I mean, against James Clemens. I just don't think we saw that coming, but it ended up being an extremely competitive game. Goes into overtime before James Clemens can finally finish off Bob Jones. And, of course, Bob Jones hosting Huntsville, and you'll hear that game on our Zone 2 feed this week as Austin Coletti and Judah Arman will have that game. Huntsville coming off a win against Grissom 13-6. Were you at the Huntsville-Grissom game? Any portion of it?
Yeah, no, I was there till about a little in between halftime. It was a 3-0 game when I left. It reminded me a lot of
slobber knocker.
Yeah, but it reminded me a lot of like Huntsville Grissom football, or just like Grissom football on my end a lot of times, where the defense is just making plays, and then the offense is just stagnant. And they just couldn't get anything, they couldn't really generate anything. And that's the thing and they just couldn't establish any offense. They could run the ball, but they just couldn't pass it all. And it was it was a very defensive game. And you got to give a lot of credit to Huntsville and what they did, because coming in, I would have thought maybe they were probably a little bit more athletic, a little bit more powerful on offense, but that wasn't the case. Grissom's always had a great defensive line and a solid core of linebackers that, it's really, really hard to generate any kind of momentum against that defense. And if the offense can start clicking, and it was funny because they started going to the wishbone kind of towards the end because nothing was really working for Grissom from what I heard. And to be honest with you, that's always been like a thing for me. Grissom, we're really not good outside the tackles. I love running in between the numbers, and I wish that they would run some more offense like that. But everybody's going to this, open it up, throw it everywhere type offense, and sometimes it doesn't work for certain programs, and maybe that they should stick to that. But I'm sure Rich Dutton is going to, get it right the ship, and this is just one. This is just it's a region loss, but what can you do? I think that Grissom will bounce back really well. It's going to be a really, really tough region, that's for sure.
Does Huntsville have any chance against Bob Jones after seeing the way Bob Jones played last week? Can they hang with him a little?
And that's the crazy thing about Bob Jones is because they clearly weren't. They didn't seem this good as they were last year.
Week one.
Yeah, definitely not week one. But as James Clemens is I guess the powerhouse of North Alabama right now. I think that it was very eye-opening, but I do give Huntsville, a shot in that game because I think they're gonna rely on what they did basically last week with their defense. Can they stop Bob Jones on offense? And outside of that, I just think that they're gonna be able to move the ball a little bit easier. But you have to kind of watch out for Cedric Jackson. He's a defensive lineman over there. I think he's like 6'3". Big boy, about 300 pounds, something like that. He's a big boy, but I actually played under his dad, Cedric Jackson. I remember when he was a little kid. That kid is a monster now, and he's been coached right. His dad is on the staff as well, and I think he's going to be nasty along that front. So if they can hold him and hold that defensive line, I think it's going to be a pretty close game.
All right. We were talking about Brian Harsin and the way Auburn got off to a quick start. I mean, it's Akron. We get that it's Akron. But still, they came out. They were organized. They had a plan. Bo Nix was 20 of 22. I mean, it went along. We're going to talk with Justin Ferguson about this later on in the week. But I did think that this was interesting, some of the comments that were made. This is from The Athletic. Harsin deserves a lot of credit for what seems to be a true culture change at Auburn. The team has direction like it never had under former coach Gus Malzahn. Let me stop right there. They went to the national championship game. You know what I mean? I mean, they played one game under Brian Harsin. They played 7 years under Gus Malzahn. And now I sound like a Gus Malzahn apologist. All right? But they never 256-576-4977. They had direction like they never had under former coach Gus Malzahn. Let's see. Check this line. The Tigers showed multiple looks against Akron, which will help them down the line. What will upcoming opponents have to prepare for? This was never the case with Malzahn. He had his system, and that's all he was going to run, even if he occasionally blamed someone else for its shortcomings. I mean, when Gus Malzahn came out with his first year as the head coach, it was a pain, man. I mean, you want to talk about, you could have said the same thing in 2013 when he came out. It was like, how do you prepare for these people? How do you prepare for this shock and awe offense, this no-huddle, hurry-up offense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Remember, they were talking about that, and that went on for years. One game under Brian Hauschel. One game against Akron, who's 1-23 in their last 24 games. One game. And all of a sudden it's, that wasn't the case with Malzahn. He had a system, and that's what he was going to run. His system was a pain until they got up to speed with it, until the defense is caught up with it, until Nick Saban. But Gus Malzahn was beat Nick Saban 3 times in 8 years. It's overreaction Monday. That must be the ultimate overreaction reaction, right? I mean, really? That this team had more direction than it ever had under Gus Malzahn, and this offense was more difficult to prepare for than anything Gus ever did. All of a sudden, he's an idiot. Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn, he won the 2010 National Championship all by himself, even though he was the offensive coordinator. Yeah. It's just mind-boggling.
It's a bigger overreaction than Vandy losing to ETSU?
Well, no.
Or did you expect that?
No, Vandy. No, I didn't expect. I didn't expect that. Here's your overreaction to that particular game. It's time for Vandy to be. Look, Swanee used to be in the SEC.
Yeah,
they're not anymore.
I want Georgia Tech.
Tulane used to be in the SEC. They're not in it anymore. Georgia Tech. They also got beat by an FCS team.
I know, that's sad too.
They're not in the SEC.
So maybe not
anymore.
Georgia Tech.
Why can't Vandy not be in the SEC anymore? I mean, what the hell?
Would you rather take Tulane right now than Vandy?
I would like
to see the Green Wave back.
I'd rather have Clemson, to be honest with you. So I'd like to see. Get Vandy the hell out of here.
Clemson?
And bring in Florida State or Clemson.
I still
bring
think
in a real team.
I still think the Georgia Tech aspect might be okay. Basketball, but
they're all right.
Yeah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's the Tuesday Top 10.
I said when I first got to Nashville that Vanderbilt should be in the Big Ten and not in the SEC, and man, I got lit up.
Let's go throw them in the Pac-12. They're playing Stanford this weekend, so just go throw them in the Pac-12. Or is it this? I think it's this weekend.
Well, you can, you get busted up, and then they can work on you. Surgery, Stanford, and
without a doubt.
Yeah, they can take care of you right there on the field.
And take UAB instead of Vandy.
Our right. Our top 10. This is our Tuesday top 10 for today. Our initial SEC top 10. Now, these are the 4 in the swirly that aren't in the top. Didn't even make the top 10 in the SEC. Okay? In no particular order. LSU. Are you kidding me, LSU? Really? You're not even top 10 in the SEC. They were so overrated. LSU. Mississippi State. Yeah, it's a great comeback. Yeah, wonderful. You had to come back in that game? What, are you kidding me? You were getting beat like a rented mule. Missouri, who could come out. I expect Missouri to be in our top 10. But right now, they struggled over the weekend, so I put Missouri in there. And then Vandy is on like a whole nother planet. You know what I mean? I mean, when James Franklin was around, I would have them in the top 10. Right now, Vandy's on another planet. They're in a whole nother list is where they would be. All right, so this is your initial Tuesday top 10 in the SEC. At number 10.
Who big soy?
All right. We give them the 10 hole. Struggled a little bit, but ultimately they were able to go ahead and get the victory over Rice. Early on, it was a little bit of a struggle, but we'll give them that one. At number 9.
I can assure you that the gap is closing.
Look, it was Bowling Green, worst team in the country, But they look good. They fell asleep for a little while, and then looked good again at the end. Let's see what they do in this one against Pitt. They are a 3-point dog against Pitt. At number 8.
It's better to keep your mouth shut and let people think you're an idiot than to open it and leave no doubt.
Yeah, he used to be the coach at South Carolina, right? Okay. I don't know if, some of you might not know that. Yeah, they beat the snot out of Eastern Illinois, 46-0. At number 7.
We need another punch in the mouth. We got one in the first half. Let's go up there, get punched in the mouth again, and see if we'll respond.
I still only use John Calipari for Kentucky. And they beat ULM 45-10. At number 6.
War Eagle.
Talked about that game. Look, at least they didn't stumble around. They went out there, they played a fish, and beat the living snot out of them. At number 5.
It's Tebow time. Let's get going.
They did not look great in the first half. I think it was 14-0 at halftime against Florida Atlantic. Slowly pulled away in that game and won that game 35-14, but they're at number 5. At number 4 on our list of our Tuesday Top 10. Coming along. 41-10 over Kent State. Hard to measure. I'll tell you what I was able to measure, though. At number 3. They look good. They look good. Offensively, defensively. I don't know. Louisville could be terrible. They could be terrible. Right now, Ole Miss looks good. It's a good job by them. At number 2 in our Tuesday Top 10.
They want to spread you out and still pound you.
He still didn't score a touchdown offensively. They won 10-3. It's great defense. I love a great defensive game. That was a real slobber knocker. Clemson, I think Clemson is going to be fine because of their schedule, and they're in a conference that's just awful. So I think they'll be okay. And, of course, at number 1 in the SEC.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Pretty obvious. All right, let's get a break. We'll come back and wrap her up next right here, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but one have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936. Analyst.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000 square foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a 5th generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
Maybe the air doesn't blow like it should, or it's needing new tires, or you're just ready for something newer. It's time to move up, time to trade up. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and it's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your current car or truck is worth more than you know. In fact, we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't trade. We have nearly 100 Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned models to choose from. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. They've passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians, come with a 24-hour roadside assistance, plus a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. It's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your vehicle is worth more right now at Woody Anderson Ford. Corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
People stay just a little bit longer. We want to play just a little bit longer.
How about back to Abraham Show? All right, I didn't get to all the Nick Davis sound in. Steve so arduously cut up for us, but you'll hear a lot of that tonight, I'm sure. On the drive, they'll have that for you tonight and a lot more breakdown of it. And, of course, Chuck Oliver will have tons of college football coming up, as well as Paul Feinbaum, and so it's all going on. I do need to remind you about our Win Bob's Tickets promotion that is going on, because we launched this thing last week, and just a few of you have gotten entered into it, but you need to get on down. Your next opportunity will be at Baumhauer's on Thursday night to get on down there and get in there, register to WinBox to win Bob's tickets to the Alabama LSU game. And don't sit here and tell me that because LSU got whacked by UCLA, it's less attractive. It's Alabama LSU, okay? We're not giving you tickets to the Alabama Mercer game. We're giving you tickets to Alabama LSU. And they're Bob Baumhauer's tickets, so you know they're decent tickets. And you also get opportunity to go to the pregame party at Baumhauer's tent on the quad. So what you need to do, the next opportunity is coming up on Thursday night. Get on down there to Baumhauer's between 5 and 7. Register to win. Now, here's the thing. Each week's winner wins a Lunch Bunch gift certificate for 6 to Baumhauer's. And then we'll have 10 of those. And then from those winners, we will pull the grand prize winner. That's incredible. So get on down to Baumhauer's this weekend. Get registered this Thursday night and get registered to win. At the end of the show Thursday, we're going to pull our first winner. So they'll pull the first winner out of the box, for the first lunch bunch, and everybody else stays in the box. So the more times you enter, the more chances you have of winning. But you can only enter once per remote. Keep that in mind. All right, we got a lot to do throughout the week, and we'll get it all covered for you. In the meantime, Chuck Oliver, Paul Feinbaum, The Drive are all coming up. I'm Thom Abraham, and this is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.